Yo, what is going on, guys? EJ here, bringing you another Lord of the Rings Rise to War video. Today, guys, before we get into the video, I just want to give a big shout out to our Season 2 Pass giveaway, as you can now see on the screen. A big congratulations to him. I sorted him out and transferred in the money, and he's got himself the Season 2 Pass, so congratulations to him. We're going to have a future giveaway very soon, so keep an eye out for that on the channel. Alrighty, guys, so we're going to be talking about gear, equipment, items, however you want to call it, in the game today. Now, I've been over this in the past, but this is going to be a way more in-depth look and showing you how to build some of your commanders and stuff like that with this gear to give you a huge edge in Season 2, because gear is honestly one of the biggest factors in the game. Like, you guys can both be level 50. You both can have all your amount of attack and troops. You can have the same troops and everything. Even if you're in mixed servers, you can have the same troops. It's all going to come down to a few things. Respect level, which we can't do too much about that. But gear and how we can counter armies with gear. So first off, we're going to go with the categories or the tiers of the gear. And then it's going to be superior, fine, exquisite, flawless, and commander gear. Superior gear, which is green. This is used very early on in the game. It can't be strengthened or refined. Our next piece of equipment, guys, as you can see, is going to be our fine equipment. Now, this is blue in color, and this is going to be our first piece of equipment that can be strengthened. Our next one, guys, is going to be exquisite, which is purple in color, which honestly can be the best in the game because it's easiest to obtain under flawless, and it's easier to level up and tier it up. Now, this can be strengthened and refined. Basically, strengthened, you can use any equipment, whether it has to be either in the categories, which we'll go over in a minute. So let's say you had a purple sword, for example, as you can now see on the screen. You would need to have any purple weapon, and you can strengthen it up. And it goes in tiers from like 1 all the way up to 5. Now, with refinement, you must have that exact piece of equipment to refine that equipment. But we will go in the game in a minute and show you exactly how to do all that and everything. This is pretty basic, but we'll show you anyway. The next piece is going to be flawless, guys, as you can now see on the screen. It is gold in color. Now, this is the best equipment in the game. But it is very hard to get lots of pieces to strengthen, especially refined, because you're going to need that exact piece. You can obtain these from tavern missions. You are able to get them from the red book, especially if you're brand new. You will get one of those right at the end of it after you complete chapter 18. And also, of course, from your marathon chests. The last piece, guys, as you can see now on the screen, is your commander gear, which has now been just added into Season 2. You will have to be respect level 10 in the game of your commander, as well as completing certain tasks, as you can now see on the screen. And you will need Mithril, which we don't know too much about yet. We don't know how to use it and level it up in depth. I have talked to the developers, and I'm waiting to get information back, and I'm going to do a huge video on that. Rightio, guys. So we're going to go into the categories now, before we go into the game and actually start looking at some gear and stuff like that more in depth. So, we have categories. There is 4 categories, guys. The first category, as we just talked about a second ago, is weapons. Now, these weapons can range from anything from bows to swords, as you can see, and so much more. There's pikes and everything like that, and spears, and so much more. The second is armor, guys, which is basically like your chest of armor. And there's a lot of different ones in the game, which can help you from physical defense to attack. But we'll go more in depth in a moment when we actually go look at a piece of equipment of that. Our next one is our helmets, guys. Basically, makes sense. You got to wear a helmet. And then your last one is your accessories, which can be one of the most OP in the game, because you can get things like healing and such from these. Right here, guys, so we've been looking at this screen for a while with the items popping up. So let's actually go look at some items, shall we? So the first step is you will go into your items here, and you'll be able to see I am very lucky to have a lot of flawless. I've opened a bunch of marathons, and as well as my exquisite. And then, of course, we have our fine and our superior equipment here. So let's go into a piece of superior here, and let's have a look at it. So As you can see, we have a helmet here. We also have swords. Now, these, like I said, you cannot strengthen them or anything like that. It's just going to give you a little buff. So, as you can see with this sword here, it is going to give a commander a might buff. Now, if we go to a different sword here, for example, the Orc Dagger, it will show you the requirements of which race can use that equipment. And it also gives commander might and speed, and it shows you the mounts that you can do. Now, moving on from this, because they're pretty basic, you can get some of these that give some focus damage in that as well, and buff. But yeah, let's just move on to fine equipment, because it's more information here, and this is where you can start strengthening. So as you can see here, for example, here we have a Urukai Pike, and first off, you'll have your race requirements. So if you click up here, it will show you every single troop, or I should say race, that can use this equipment in the game, going anywhere from men to evil men. So as you can see, it's going to give you a certain buff depending on what it is. So for this weapon, it's usually going to do something like increase your commander's might or focus as a weapon. Now, you're also going to, this is where you're going to get your special skills here. It's like a sub skill. Now, this can range, there is many different. For example, here we have Pierce, which after the commander attacks against an enemy target, it deals a certain extra percentage of physical damage. Now, as you can see, that is at 13.3%. But if we strengthen that, which we've strengthened, all we have to do is just use any blue weapon, and that will put up our percentage up to like 50%, for example. Now, I don't have a blue helmet or anything, for example, here, but it'll be exactly the same with a blue helmet. It's just going to increase your stats when you strengthen it. But yeah, let's go look at Exquisite, because it's a lot easier to talk about, and we can actually do a little trade up and stuff, or whatever you want to call it, like strengthen it and refine it. So as you can see, this is going to be a lot more information here. It's a lot easier to see. So first off, you're going to have your requirements for which race can use this equipment. We are actually in our subcategory here now of armor. So with armor, you're going to get things whether it's going to increase your commander's might and focus. Now with Exquisite, you're also going to get a third perk down there. It can be anything there from increasing defense to HP and so much more. Now, this is where it can make a big difference. So, with this sub-skill here, let's say I'm playing as Erebor at the moment, and we're going to be going up against the elves currently at the moment. I can get sub-skills here that is going to affect doing range damage. Now, for example, I can go in, and I can show you this bow that I have for Legolas at the moment, which I have strengthened all the way, but I don't have any to refine. So with a bow, which is another one from like swords, which is in your weapon category, I have a buff here, which is army attack, which increases my ranged attack, which is going to help against their archers, for example. So you want to be keeping in mind of these categories, not just which is going to be whether it's going to increase your might or your focus, which of course, if you're going to have like Gandalf, for example, you'll want to be looking for a piece of gear which is going to increase your focus damage for your commander. Or if you're going to be using something like Aragorn, for example, or Dwalin, Gimli, who's more of a might based, you want to be looking for someone who's increasing their might. I will show you a better example of this when we go look at some of my actual commanders and how I've got them set up. Now, you're also going to have that sub-skill as well, guys, which, as you can see, I have here for ranged might on this bow, which increases my ranged units damage dealt. So it's going to really help me. Now, for example, we're versing the elves, but then we go get in a battle against orcs. You want to be using a different weapon or gear, which is going to be for the suitable outcome of the battle who you're versing. So if I'm versing orcs, I want to be looking for something there, which if, let's say they're not using ranged, and they're going to be using, like, trolls or something, I want to be looking for, like, say, a buff which is going to increase my HP or defense, and a special buff at the bottom, or perk, which is going to either maybe increase damage towards giants or bigger troops in the game. or anything. You can even find ones that can do healing, as in your accessories, which we'll have a look at our accessories, for example. So with your accessories here, usually these will always increase focus, and they can decrease HP and speed and stuff like that, for example, here. But if we go over to like Gandalf here, the harps are really good. I have an example here of sustain, which every 2 rounds, all allies will cover a certain amount of HP. So even if you have a commander that has no healing stats, for example, I have Gandalf the White, who does not heal, but putting a really good harp on him, which I've done here, which we'll have a better look in a moment, it's going to give you the ability to heal as well as doing amazing damage with him. But yeah, the best way to look at it is, let's go to my commander setup, shall we? So I have some pretty good commander setups here. We'll have a look at my top examples at the moment. So as you can see, we have Radagast. So our first category here is weapons. So I have a sword on him. And first off, you must have the requirements. So this sword, the Noldor sword that I have, I am able to use it with him because I'm able to use with wizards. Now, or here, as you can see, it shows you all of them right here. It's basically spellcasters. So this will work for evil as well. So, as you can see with this piece of equipment, it increases my might and focus. Now, because he is a wizard, you want to be having a focus buff here because it's going to increase your base focus, which is going to help do a lot more focus damage. It can also help with your healing and everything because certain sub-skills in your skill tree, the amount of base focus that you have is going to help with healing and stuff in your focus skills on that tree. So, as you can see, I have a focus buff here. Now, this helps with army and elves attack, but I didn't really base it too much off that. I just wanted a bit of extra focus. But with the sub-skill, because I've got a focus commander, I want to be using a sub-skill which is going to increase focus damage. Not might, so then you got the double whammy. You're going to be increasing his base focus, but then you're going to be increasing your focus damage. So as you can see with this sword, for the first 5 rounds, it's going to increase focus damage by 15%. So, for example, with this, if I was to strengthen, all I'm going to need is any equipment of that category, whether it's flawless, for example. I'm at a very high level at the moment, but I'd need 8 of any weapon. Now, you can't, it has to be like a sword, it has to be a weapon. You can't use like armor. So it sticks to that 4 categories that we spoke of before. But if I wanted to refine that sword, I would need to have another exact same of that Noldor sword, and that's very hard. So refinement is very hard. But at least refinement will increase the percentage of your sub-skill here, where strengthen will increase your base skills here. As well, as you can see with here, your familiarity with the item, once you get to 100, it's going to increase these base skills as well, which in factor will increase your base skills for your commander. So, as you can see, that is going to be the weapon there. Then we're going to move over to our armor. It's exactly the same. We're looking at an example of purple here. Now, this equipment here is a lot easier to get. So, I have strengthened and refined it fully. So, as you can see, when it's fully strengthened and max here of 100, you can see it's giving me buffs of might and focus. Now, this ain't the best armor for the sub-skills, but I have used this one because it has attunement, which gives a buff of focus of plus 18 base to my Radagast here. We'll have a look at an example of a might commander in just a second, but this is the focus. So with a focus built commander, guys, you want to be looking at your top skills there of increasing focus, and then your sub-skill of increasing focus, whether it's the base or focus damage. Moving on to helmets, it's exactly the same as well, guys. With a focus commander, increasing that focus. And with a wizard, as you can see here, I have warding here, which for the first 2 rounds, all allies have a 50% chance to gain stun immunity. So, wizard v wizard, or any commander that can do stun to me, this is really going to help out. So, it's all about knowing which sub-skills to use. Obviously, you're going to use focus with a focus commander, might with a might or physical attacking commander. But these sub skills are really, really going to help you out, guys. And of course, just with strengthening these guys, with helmets, the same with gear, you can just use any sort, whether it's the same. And refinement, you would just need that exact helmet to refine it. Moving on now, guys. Your accessories honestly may be the best in the game because they will always increase focus. Now, this equipment is so good for focus commanders because it's always going to increase your focus. You're going to get an extra sub skill down the bottom there. As you can see, this one here, it gives me an army attack for range, which is really good against like the elves, for example. And this sub skill of mend is going to, every 2 rounds, a ally is going to recover 80 HP. So if I had the Wizard Cracker here, or the Wizard's Fireworks, and I refine this, this is going to increase this percentage. So yeah, that's basically how you want to be building a focus commander, guys. You're going to be wanting to have either your weapon, your armor, your helmet, and your accessory, all giving buffs of focus, and then possibly the best, I believe, for the sub skill of the accessory is healing. And then with the other ones, you want to be doing either increasing your base focus or focus damage dealt. Alright, let's go look at a physical commander here. So as you can see, we have Boromir here. Now with his weapon here, you want to be looking to increase your might. And with your commander, let's say we're using Boromir for example. He is really good with men and melee troops. So you want to be taking that into consideration. So you can get certain perks up here, as we've seen before on this sword, for example, which increases HP just for elves. Now, you can get certain buffs here that's going to increase it for men, which for someone with Aragorn or Boromir, you want to be using. So if you can get a good piece of equipment, which is going to be strengthening not only your might, but give it a buff, whether it's increased HP or attack for men or melee troops, because those commanders, for example, Boromir and Aragorn, are very good with melee troops. Depending on how you build your army, that's the skills you want to be going with. Now, with the sub-skills, you want to be looking for things, again, which is going to be increasing your physical damage or reducing your target's defense. That is the best skills that you want to be going for with your weapons, and so far on with your armor, for example, here. As you can see, I am reducing defense here, and I am increasing my army's melee defense and increasing might at the same time as well. With my helmet, it's all about increasing my might level as well. I've currently got level 0 because I just changed my equipment and put this on the Boromir. So getting this up to 100 will increase this base up to maybe around 45. And of course, with refinement, it's going to increase my percent. As you can see, I have stuck with melee units because that's what Boromir is good with. And it's going to reduce their damage received. And then with your sub skill again, it's really hard. If you can, it's going to just increase focus. You can't really find one with might, but if you can find something that's going to increase, as you can see, I got speed for elves, so it's definitely not the world's best for Boromir, but I do use bow knights with him. But I have a sub skill here, which is going to help me gain pursuit, which is very useful. So that's going to be it pretty much for showing you how to build it. So just in recap there, before we go have a look at some of the new equipment, you're going to be wanting, if it's a physical commander, you want equipment that is going to be increasing your base might and increasing your sub skills here of increasing either physical damage towards them or reducing physical damage. Now, with your accessory, I would highly recommend trying to find something that is going to heal, especially if you have a healing commander. Now, back over to the focus commander, for example, we're looking at Gandalf here. Once again, you're going to be wanting something that is increasing that focus damage up top of your base. As you can see, my Gandalf has 408 because I have worked on everything at the top here, which is going to be increasing my focus, as well as increasing my focus damage dealt using these sub-skills. And healing as well is very good. Right here, guys. So yeah, while we're here in the commander section, let's go have a look at commander gear, shall we, real quick. So you will have to be respect level 10. So first off, once you respect level 10, you have to complete a 3 subsets of skills here, or tasks, I should say. Now, some of these are really hard. For example, I'd have to go take down the King's Gate or Agranath. And basically, we all know that from the movie. That's where Boromir goes over the falls after he's killed. Our faction would have to control that, as well as mock battle, which is super easy. And I'm going to need 60 raw mithril to be able to do this. Which I think that they've changed that, guys, because that used to be impure, but it is now raw, which is really good. So they have fixed this up. More information about this, because there is 3 different levels of mithril, which I'll show in a second. And then this for here, for example, White City. But if we have a look at the skills, so to level up these, we're going to need pure mithril, and it's going to take a certain amount, which we don't know exactly yet, but we're going to be going more in depth with this in a moment. In another video, sorry. So, as you can see, this is only for Boromir. It's going to increase his might, speed, and army defensive men. So, everything I spoke of before, with increasing men, or melee with Boromir, because he is very good with man his troops. This is going to be amazing using the Horn of Gondor with him. And it can come with different things here. So, as for example here, Gondor's Inspiration. Round 6 and onwards, allied managed units damage dealt is going to be plus 10%. Now, I don't know if it's going to be always this one, or there's going to be different skills for this, or it could be the same for everyone. But yeah, that's going to be commander equipment. So let me just go over here to our marathon chest here, for example. We go over to the exchange section. Where are they? Here it is. So yeah, we have raw mithril, as you can see here. Now, you can get this from doing tavern missions. And then you got impure mithril. And then you have pure mithril. So, I think depending on the commanders, whether they're tier 1, 2, or 3, you're going to need to use the tier of mithril. So, with raw mithril as a tier 1 command, I believe you're going to be using this. Now, with impure, you get this. So far, the only thing I've really seen where you can get this is from certain in-game events, as well as the season pass. So the season pass is very good to get used of. And then you got your pure, which I believe is going to be used to strengthening that equipment. So if we go back into our commanders rule here real quick, my other commander that I have at respect level 10 is Gandalf the Grey, and he is a tier 2. So as you can see, he needs impure mithril to be able to do his tasks, guys. Now, I don't have a tier 3 at level 10, so I'm either thinking it's going to take 60 of them, so is it insane? So, with the tier 3 commanders, I'm not sure because it won't show me. I don't know whether you're going to need that pure to be able to just complete the task, or is going to be pure to strengthen the actual equipment. So, that is something I need to get more information. I am currently put all that towards the developers, and I'm getting some information about that, so we'll get more in depth with that later on. So before we wrap up the video, guys, we're just going to have a look at some of the new equipment that they added into the game. So if we go into like our precious antiquities here and click on the chest, you can go down to some of the equipment here. Now this is a bunch of equipment here. You got things like the Elven Cloak, the Night Star, all of your axes and swords, and a lot. This pipe here, which I have, Fine Smoking Pipe, is amazing. But they added some new equipment into the game, which we'll have a quick look, which are really good. So, as we scroll down here, we have things here like the Coal of... I wanted to click this one. The Coal of the Forest, which, as you can see, is going to be very good for using with someone like Howdy, for example. It's going to increase your focus and army defense for beasts. You're going to have Grey Wizard Hat, for example, which is going to be very good with your Wizard and Focus commanders. Your Elven Knife here, which is going to be very good with you using with such, let's say, if you're very lucky to have Elrond or even Legolas, is going to be very useful. So yeah, the Sing of the Law, like a Ranger's Shroud, it's going to be very good with using like with a managed commander with a Boromir or Aragorn and stuff like that. And that's a lot of the new equipment, guys. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out a bit. I know some of it, a lot of you guys may already know, and we do need to learn a lot more information about those commanders and their commander equipment. But that is going to be basically a idea to show you how to build. Once again, I'll quickly just go to commander. As you can see, focus commander, work on your focus. And with your might commanders, guys, very simple. Just work on increasing your physical might, your base might, and it's going to help you out an absolute ton, guys. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. So until next time, peace out, EJ's out, and I'll catch you guys later. See yous.
Thousands songs of the EJU.